Happy Monday, 13 May 2024. I'm going to talk about talking slash thinking through changing banks slash credit unions. So I've done it in the past, and one time it was I did not move, and another time it was a move, and then another time it was a move, though I don't necessarily close I haven't necessarily closed all of the bank accounts. So I'm Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle. And so reflecting on what I've been through in the past, would I change bank accounts slash credit unions in the future? Let's say I move in with my boyfriend Josh Kerr, and he has expressed that he prefers one of my current banks slash credit unions over the other, and if he had a choice in how things play out, he would prefer to have a bank account if we have the same bank to try for one of them. So I currently have Boeing Employee Credit Union, BECU, which I got when I was growing up. However, before that I had Wells Fargo, and then I also have Mechanics Bank. And I've also had, I think it was American Savings Bank when I lived in Hawaii, and something like that. And so I've closed the Wells Fargo and American Savings Bank accounts. And so I have Boeing Employee Credit Union and Mechanics Bank. And Boeing Employee Credit Union has been giving me trouble over the years, and especially since I've kind of 2019 to present is a way of putting it, and they don't necessarily communicate why, and it's not necessarily something other people with Boeing Employee Credit Union experience, so far as I'm aware, though there's kind of like the standard bank problems, right? And so in that sense, I'm like a little concerned about being picked on, and so like a concern moving forward that has happened already is like they try to censor memo lines. So if I'm saying I'm transferring money related to my friend so-and-so, they'll allow it for one person if they like the person, but not another person if they don't like the person. Like they allowed it for Adam Peaty, but not for Hubert Coase, speaking from experience. And so I'm very concerned in moving in with my boyfriend Josh Kerr to be like transferring money to my boyfriend Josh Kerr, and then they should shut down my entire account and all access to my money and stuff like that. Because that happened with, I went to pay on Amazon, used my card or a card through Boeing Employee Credit Union, and what ended up being the method of payment was my card or a card through Mechanics Bank. And so it was like, okay, so they were like, we don't want this transaction. And I'm like, okay. Make sure and pay off the credit card, right, with money from my Mechanics Bank account, since you guys don't want the transaction that much. But it's a hassle, right? And it's a real slowdown, and they did this back in 2019 as well. Boeing Employee Credit Union, I had problems paying for my new phone. I had problems I told them I was going to Scotland via France, and I tried my card or cards in both places and didn't work either. And they were like, oh, it's all gonna be fine. And I was like, I cannot even rely on you for safety and security of my money. I can't even access my money. Right. So safety and security and reliability, I would say, is the biggest, just straight up kind of no, in terms of like, if I get to say, right, moving in with my Josh Kerr, Kerr's like, I like Mechanics Bank. So then how would I actually go about that, changing banks slash credit unions? Well, I think, so like he shows up today. This is how I'm going to think through it. So Josh Kerr, my boyfriend Josh Kerr, shows up today. He shows up, and I answer the door, and he's like, it's time for you to move. And I go, hey Dad, hey Mom, Dad, my boyfriend Josh Kerr is here to move me in with him. He lives in Seattle. Don't worry. You want to tell him where, honey? Or my dad answers the door, or my mom answers the door. It's, hey Tanis, your boyfriend's here. He's taking you over to U District. you guys are going to the track first, or something like that. Your boyfriend or your friend, right? He could say friend, because a boyfriend is a friend as well. To move you in with him. Are you ready? Is he going to spend the night? It's going to be a multi-day move. So point being, he shows up today, let's say. And then we're moving in. It might be the multi-day process, right? Especially if we are moving some of the squirrels. And maybe he sleeps here. We have their rooms currently, at least he can sleep in. And, right, we're talking today. And then if I sleep over at his room and then he sleeps over one more night, or I don't know, it doesn't have to be a 4-day, 3-night thing, but just like think through like being flexible and moving this stuff out. It might be all one go, but it might be staggered too. So being flexible currently. And so we move, and then we're like, okay, probably the biggest thing is finances. Right? Especially if I can't access any money, if we have shared money, right, and I can't access it or something, or I can't access my money, or he transfers me and I can't access it for whatever reason, because Boeing Employee Credit Union is being temperamental like it is currently. So then maybe we fly down. Mechanics Bank doesn't have offices up here. Maybe we fly down to California. There's a branch I love. One of my biggest problems I have with Boeing Employee Credit Union is they don't have in-person tellers, and I love going into the bank and making an in-person deposit with a person. And Mechanics Bank always had that for me. I don't know if they still do, but maybe go down to Mechanics Bank and see if it's possible to add an account for him. Yeah, and then if we can, okay, if we can't, then maybe close down my account, come back and then see about opening an account at his bank or credit union, and or finding a new one. And then once we have that, closing down the Boeing Employee Credit Union one, which might make transferring money with my parents a hassle, but we'll figure it out and make it as seamless as possible from our end, right? So thinking through, okay, I guess there's two branches there. One, they can open an account at Mechanics Bank for him. So if they can, then we open an account, and once we've done that, we close down the Boeing Employee Credit Union account, and we see about if he has a different bank and or credit union, see about adding me there. Keeping the 2-bank structure, which I've done. Actually, since I moved to Hawaii, I've actually done that structure because I have had regional banks or state-specific banks, and I like in-person interactions. So yeah. It like when I went to the University of California, Berkeley, and started working there, we got paper paychecks, right, before the transfer stuff, and so I was like, I need to go deposit this at the bank, and Boeing Employee Credit Union is not here, and I've had problems with it anyway, so yeah. And I think I had problems with it when I, not just going to Scotland in July 2019, but in Africa in 2012 as well. I ended up, so that was a weird one as well. I ended up having to rely on a friend because Boeing Employee Credit Union didn't follow through there as well. How do I think about that? Yeah, it was embarrassing. Okay, so the other one then is the case where we can't make an account for him, Mechanics Bank. Then we close down my account with Mechanics Bank, come back, get me on his bank, and close down Boeing Employee Credit Union, and then see about finding another bank. Just to have two. And I think moral of the lesson here is a memo line is like on a check. If you're saying this check is going to such and such person, right? You want the money to arrive at a place safe and securely. Right, that essentially Boeing Employee Credit Union was like, no, we don't want your money to be safe nor secure. And so it's just like, clearly, my problems with this institution are over a decade now, right? So, in thinking, not that I hate it, right? It's not the problem I had with Wells Fargo where they took money from my account and put it in my sister's account. I still have the Boeing Employee Credit Union account. But there are things that I prefer And in Josh Kerr's, even like if we got Mechanics Bank and he got an account, we might even fly down on to that particular branch. He's like, you could show me where you used to live. Maybe not inside because people live there now, but you could show me the places where you lived, and you could take me and show me campus where I worked for over 4 years, University of California, Berkeley. But like stuff like that, right? Especially if I'm writing an autobiography, go and show them some of the sites that may or may not make the book. Well, where I lived would make the book, right? But walk past the YMCA where I worked at and stuff like that. So maybe make some YouTube videos while we're out there. So yeah, but changing bank accounts, I think, is probably at the top. That and like changes of addresses for like mail and car / license stuff, driver's license, but are there other licenses? That kind of stuff. Passport, as applicable, that kind of stuff, if applicable. So yeah, let's thinking through changing banks / credit unions. Happy date and time of viewing to you, and place of viewing wherever you're viewing this from.